Guys, we're going to get started here in about 1 minute. I'm going to share my screen like we are now, but I'm going to jump into Techmetric, and we're going to talk about the importance of configuring your repair order labels. So we'll give it just a couple of minutes so some other folks can jump in. But thank you for joining us as always. I've appreciate it. This usually I always have it interactive, and I always say if you have a question, stop me in my tracks. Let's ask and let's figure it out. Today we're going to have a big group. I think we should have about 100 people in here, I bet. And what we want you to do is, if you have any questions, you can type it out in the sidebar here. There's some other associates that are going to help me answer it, and I'm going to try to keep my eye on it. But we just want to explain what's going on and how to use it, how to best really run the shop. Because with these RO statuses, if you have a unique workflow in the system, in the shop, you're going to now be able to express it and figure out where all the cars are at on all times. So appreciate you being here. But not only are we going to talk about the new configuring ROs, we're definitely going to talk about filtering label columns. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Tracy. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. And really, this is part of the job board refresh, because you probably noticed a little while ago, everything changed. The blue banner went away. Some of the different tools look different. You still have some of the tools there, but I want to cover over some of the differences and make sure that you're still giving your customers the level of service that you always have. So as people are joining, I'm going to jump into it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen again here in a second. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a look at Techmetric. And in real time, I want to show you how to move things around, how to update these labels, how to configure them, and how to make sense of all the open repair orders that you have on the job board at all times. So everyone, welcome for being here. Jerry Jackson, lovely to see you here. Amber, Mandy, Jenny, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again, and you're going to see Techmetric. Now, we are looking at the sandbox, so we're not going to see real information. This is fake information that I have in here, but I put everything in there so we can take a look at it. Now, since we're in Google Meets, if you're having a hard time seeing the screen that I'm sharing, down below, there's probably a set of icons, including a microphone, a hand, and you have something, it's the 3 dots. And if you select those 3 dots and you choose change your layout, you guys can change it to spotlight, and it's going to make my shared screen a little bigger, so maybe you can see what I'm doing. And if you guys are having a hard time, let me know, because I can zoom in. As you notice, I wear an eye patch, so I'm typically at about 110, 120% all day. But you can definitely let us know. This is definitely being recorded. Kevin, where are they going to put it? I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm also working on a brand new video, a training video about configuring your repair orders and the labels. So I think eventually you're not going to want to watch the webinar because I'm going to be all over the place. Eventually you're going to want to watch the training video that really gives you direct, precise, targeted information. In this webinar, man, there's no telling what I'm going to say. So yeah, thank you. Oh, and we're going to email you a recording. So hold on, watch out. I'm going to keep it PG just because of that. But guys, we're looking at Techmetric, and what we're looking at is we're looking at the new interface of it. You're going to notice that it looks a little different. You may notice that there was a blue banner up top, and we've always had statuses. But then you think, well, what in the world is a repair order label? Well, why is it important? Well, it's extremely important because we want to know where everything's at all times. You can go walk the shop, you can go bug each technician and ask them what they're doing, but it's going to take a long time. Looking at the job board, it is our open repair order list, and this is what we want to manage. We want to get these repair orders out the door, back with the customers, safely driving, and we want to put the money in our bank account. We want to do it smoothly and as effortlessly as possible. Can't hear anything. Is anyone else having any issues? I got this special microphone. I thought for sure you guys would be able to hear me. If you're having issues hearing me, there may be something wrong with the computer, but if multiple people can't hear me, let me know. No? Okay, so whoever's having audio issues, it may be computer specific. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Crystal. Awesome. All right. So guys, let's dive into it. We've got about a half hour, and then questions. Like I said, hit me with it in the chat, but afterwards, let's go a live session and let's talk about it. So if you're an older shop or older Techmetric user, you know what I'm talking about, the blue banner, and you know the statuses that were labels and statuses at the same time. And the way it looked, guys, it looked just like this. So this was a big ask that we had for a long time as industry is, can I update these statuses, these labels? And you couldn't. It was kind of hard coded like this at the beginning. So you got used to some of these things. And if you put together a good workflow for what we had at the beginning, man, don't stop. Keep going. Keep using it. It's still going to work the exact same way. Now, if you run a unique shop, like Jerry Jackson or Tim Suggs, Turbo Tim. If you're running a Turbo Tim style shop, well, you're going to do things quite uniquely. And you want to maybe track things uniquely. So first off, let's talk about what we're looking at. So things have changed. Active used to be on the other side, but the active drop down still there for you guys. You can still get to deleted, paid, posted. You have your different views. Remember, you got the list view, you got the column view, but a label view has come out. Now, if you have maybe 3 steps part of the shop, this will probably work for you. If you zoom out and you got a big old monitor that wraps around from one ear to the other, this might work. But in my opinion, there's too many steps in the service department in order to use the label view. So me, I typically use the Kanban view as a column view. Now, over to the left, you still have your job board search bar, still going to do the same thing. You can still populate by any employee. So if you're trying to dispatch something to technician C and you want to know what's on their plate, or if you're just trying to track down your waiters, those tools are still available for you. But in addition, now you have RO labels. So if you don't want to use the same statuses or labels that we had at the beginning, you're going to be able to select this, hit configure, and then enable it. And I'm going to hit the X just to take a look at it. So some of my labels that I have is a new repair order, or the customer's deciding, or we need to sell it. We need to talk to this guy and make him understand why his 2015 BMW is important. And he has a lot of money, so we need to sell it. You have some other statuses in this other column, the work in progress column, and they are column specific. So if I hit the status or the RO label, you can see what I have. And I think it's super important for some of these. So I think the problem that we had in the past is we didn't know when the technician was done. We could see how far along they were with the work, but truly, if the technician is finished with the Colorado, mark it complete. So now I know that we need to either call the extended warranty, we need to call the customer, or something needs to happen. And if you are doing a lot of fleets, well, those are really hard to handle. So why not give yourself a couple of statuses like this Mercury Milan is done, so we need to call the extended warranty and try to get this process or the invoice covered. We also have send the invoice. I mean, these are just ones that I created, but I created a certain label so I know what to do. Either call the customer, call the vendor, and we can see where we're at all times. So thinking about that, guys, there is some automation into it. So if I hit configure, right here, you have your estimate column or a list view if you're using that, work in progress, and you're going to have completed. And in each column, you are going to have a default setting. So there are some triggers. And if you remember it, when you create a repair order, it used to say not started. And then if you put something on it, it would say requires authorization and then pending authorization. So if you think about that, these statuses are what your first repair order is going to be. And it could be called anything. It could be called new car, new visitor, or whatever you need. But every time you create a new repair order, it is always going to be this default status. And you can update the color if you need to. And then you can start stacking things. So what would you need in the estimate column? Well, I definitely know we need to diagnose. We're going to need to sell. It's probably going to be declined. Maybe the car was a night drop. We have no idea what's wrong with it or why it's here. We'll put a status so you know where everything's at one time. Once you get approvals, that repair order is going to automatically bounce in the work in progress tab, and it's going to land in the default label. So if you sell work, it's going to be called work sold is what I have, but you may want to do anything. We sold certain work. You may want to add parts, order parts, whatever your process in the shop, you're going to be able to drag it around and move it up. And if you absolutely need something here, once you sell work, change it, add a label, and then start moving them all around. Then at the very end, you're going to complete the repair order. That repair order is going to move from the work in progress column to the completed column. And when that happens, it's always going to be the default setting. So it's going to be balance due. Could be, like I said, any status that you need. But if you do have your, let's keep editing. Let's make sure we save it. So if you have your label turned on, you are going to be able to update them. And this is something that we couldn't do in the past with our automated regular hard-coded labels. So right now, even though this is the new repair order, what if I told this guy, we just had a verbal agreement about the disclaimers or about the diagnosis. Well, I'm going to change it. So there's not an action that I need to take in order to change a label. You can come in here and update the label as you need. Now, as far as I understand, as an ex-service manager, this is the absolute hardest thing that we can get a technician to do, is when they're done with the job, timestamp it, finish it. So we're still going to be in the managing game. We're going to have to manage our people to make sure that they're choosing the right label so we know where all the repair orders are at all the time. But you are going to have some automation. So we have labels, and then you have statuses. So these are important. These are something that you've always had. They did work a little differently. So when you created a repair order, it changed into pending authorization. And when you sent it to them, it changed in, or it was require authorization. And then you sent it to them, it was pending authorization. So if we have labels, it's hard to figure that out. And that's really where the statuses come in from. So definitely pay attention to them. So looking at this new interface of the job board, you're going to have notes. If it's blue, it means there's some notes in there. Car stinks, got to get a gas mask to pull it in. Those are good notes. I would want to know that as a technician. But then next to this, we have a status. We sent an inspection a day ago. We sent the estimate a day ago, and currently it's pending. But we can update the status to whatever we need it to stay, despite what, or the label, whatever it needs to say, despite what the status may be. Now you're still going to have some of the tools, like the eyeball. We just sent this to him, and the customer looked at it. So we know he looked at it 4 months ago. And be careful, I found this out too. Very subtle, but we take a look at customer D in the Jeep Grand Cherokee. We sent this DVI 33 minutes ago. But if we look at Remo Williams, if we got a capitalized M, this means we sent it 2 months ago, which is pretty slick on the development team. So uncapitalized M is minutes. The capitalized M is months. Watch out there. So we're going to be able to see when they looked at it. If the DVI changes blue, that means the technician has completed the inspection. So if I was the advisor and I was looking at this ticket for customer D, well, we just sold some work. The guy hasn't touched it. He hasn't started it. I sent this out to him, but he hasn't looked at it either. So since I got the diagnostic and I know that I got the DVI, I might want to take a good educated decision. And I'm going to call customer D and talk about some of the things we found on the inspection. So statuses, they are different than RO labels these days. You're also going to have a status with work sold. So 2 of 2.5, that means the technician has finished 2 hours, but he still has a half hour to go. So we have that pie chart. And if you look closely, it's not completely blue. I can't see it. But it will tell you the time that they have on the job. And then you can update these statuses to whatever you need. So even if you have a unique workflow where you have some technician named Daniel and he's super slow, but he knows how to do wiring diagrams inside and out, well, I probably would create a status and call it Daniel, Daniel's lift, Daniel's bay, Daniel's time, whatever it is, so I can change it. And anytime anyone calls me, I can say, listen, you got a wiring issue, and we got our best guy on it, but it's time sensitive. So, or it's at the body shop, or if you have a detail, or if you need more diag. We've always had whiteboards in this industry. A big whiteboard in the back of the office has magnets, and you move it around. And we have all these columns to make sure that we didn't drop anyone in the grease. We didn't fix any cars that we did not fix any cars that were supposed to. Now, I personally have a hard time giving up the whiteboard because I grew up with it. But if we think about these statuses, this really is going to eliminate the whiteboard if we wanted it to, because you can have every status, you can move them around, and you can figure out where every repair order is at most of the time. So it's, really intuitive. Now there is some things to watch out for, guys. So to configure your labels, you jump in here. You can only have, I believe, make sure I'm doing the right one. You can only have 20 labels per column. So be careful there. If you've got a really thick workflow and there's more than 20 columns or 20 labels per column, I'll think about tightening up that process and how can we get cars out a little smoother. The other issue is watch out how long these are. You only have 22 characters. And the reason is because it does take up a lot of real estate on the repair order. So if you type in half a paragraph, it's going to take in a lot of space there. So watch out for that. Something else that'll happen that I don't think we're going to see too often, but if I go into a deleted tickets, so right here we have this Frank Stan ticket. It was 738, and we needed to sell more work. But if I restore this deleted repair order, 738, back on the job board, it is always going to return back to the original default status. So even though it was here, we were looking at it, and then something happened, we moved it out of the way. But when we brought it back, you're going to have to update that status again. Pretty basic. But if you delete it, bring it back, you're still going to have to update that status over and over again. So watch out, guys. You can update colors as well. You notice I have a bunch of different colors. I'm slightly colorblind, so some of these reds and oranges, I really need to think about it because it doesn't look right to me on the job board. But update any colors that you want. You may not have a color wheel, but there's a few colors you can choose from. I think there's about 8 more than it used to be. So other than that, you are going to have automatic action. So if you send the estimate, you're going to get the paper airplane. If they look at it, you're going to get the eyeball. Something else that's going to be unique, if you guys use the shop dashboard, remember, if you're looking at the job board, it's going to stack every label that you have there, which could be interesting because here, if I was looking at this on any given day and I think, well, good Lord, where's my problem? Well, the problem is we can't sell anything. We've got $4,500 and this is a bottleneck. I either need to figure out how to sell the steering rack, hire some people that know how to steering rack, or think about my sales tactics and think about the digital vehicle inspection. Shoot, if you guys are having a hard time selling, use the inspection to make sure you get customers engaged in what they need to fix. And a lot of times we can potentially sell some work. So these will have all your statuses. If they're custom, they're going to be in there and you can manipulate them anywhere you want. And you're going to be able to see where the money is at within that status. So other than that, you're still going to have requires authorization. So if we send this out, you're going to have these statuses down here. You will have how many hours you've done, if they looked at it, how far along they are. And in the completed column, you've got the same tools, just may look a little different. But other than that, that's really about it. You are going to have some quick actions too. So if you want to send someone the inspection, select the icon of the inspection, or sorry, view the note. So select the icon of the inspection. You can view it or you can share it with the customer. You don't have to jump into the repair order if you don't need to. If they ask you to send the estimate again, you can. If the customer calls up and says, well, Daniel, I just want to do it, I'm going to hit approve all. And then it's going to be over here. So you do still have these quick actions. They may work a little differently with your statuses, opposed to where you would hit the status in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner, but they're still going to work for you. If you wanted to send this inspection out, you can do it here. 3 dots still work. If you want to remove a repair order and put it back to the beginning, what we need to do is we need to get rid of our approvals, and they'll push it back to the beginning. But other than that, make sure you're using your quick actions to get customers out smoothly. And if you run a unique shop, I invite you to it. Tekmetric now has the tools to accommodate your weirdness. And if you have a body shop, a detail, if you have one guy that does fabrication because you're extending chassis and cradles, well, do it. Man, make as much money as you can. Just make sure everything is where it's supposed to be at all times. So other than that, guys, that is your new RO labeling. What do you guys think? I see Isaac's been answering some questions. Perfect. So at this time, if you have any questions, man, you guys can unmute and chat on in. I'd love to talk to someone.
Hey, Daniel, it's Michael Williams.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, buddy. How you been?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm one-eyeing it over here.
Always, right? All right.
What do you
So I
think about the labels?
apologize for jumping in late. I didn't know I had to download this app to get in here.
You had to download an app?
Yeah, well, yeah, off my phone to be able to get in it. So can I just ask you, how do I make the new, I'm late to it, so how do I make the new RO labels? I
So-
can create the ones I want, is what I was understanding by when I jumped in.
Yes, sir. So what you want to do is come up and hit RO label, this button here,
Yep. And
and
there.
then you want to hit configure.
Okay. And it says enable. So
Yeah,
I just
and
hit
so what
the
you want to do
enable.
is you want to turn on enable. And you're going to see the same statuses that you always have, but when you hit edit, you can type anything you want, make them any color. And what the default is, Mike, is when you create a new repair order, it's got to land somewhere, and it's always going to land in the default label. So I left it new repair order, but we could say new sales.
No, I like the one I saw that you did with said new RO. So we do have that issue of, we see work not started, but we do have a problem where my managers don't see a new RO right away. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So
Yeah.
I like the fact that we could do that. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can change it to whatever you need, Mike. So if you have a certain process in the shop that really doesn't fit any other shop, well, that's all right. Just make a label and make sure you know where it's at all the time.
Can I do this in multi-shop to where I do it at one time and then in turn it goes to all my stores? Or do I have to do it in each location?
I believe currently you have to do it at each location. I don't think the MSO tool has the ability to manage multiple labels across multiple stores.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, good question.
Daniel Charlie, question
Hey,
for
Charles.
you. Before this update, when you had a tech punch in on a job to start working on it, it used to change the status to in progress. Are they fixing that now or not?
So for that, there are some statuses that just aren't going to work like they used to. If you decided to go the old status way, it's still going to do that. When they hit the play button, it's going to change it to in progress. But if you're using custom labels, I've noticed that even though I jump into the job and I hit the play button, it's not affecting my custom labels here.
I know that's the question, is are they going to fix that? My techs aren't used to
Hitting the play
going up
button.
there to change it. And so when I'm not at the shop and I'm looking on my laptop on my phone, it looks to me like nobody's working.
Gotcha. Yeah. If you're using custom statuses, they're going to have to get used to changing that label. And Charles, that is the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, is trying to get the technician to hit the play button or stop the timestamp. Even at the dealer, it was complicated. Even though that's the way they got paid, it was a struggle. So if you went back to the original configuration, it's still going to work the same way you wanted it to. But if you're using custom labels, we do need to get our team members to understand they need to update the status depending where they're at.
And so if I go back to the old way, do I lose all of the other labels or do they get to stay there?
No, so if you go back to the old way, you are going to use your custom labels, but it will go back to the way that it used to work.
Right.
So the labels are still there. That's why I think there are some shops out there that this was very complicated for them. So what they've done is they redid their workflow to match some of these labels. And a lot of them, the labels would mean something completely else. But if it works for you, and I would stick to this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great question, Charles.
Hey, Daniel, this is Jim.
Hello, Jim.
Hey there. So we have been used to using the list view, but we also have implemented a digital whiteboard, which at a glance you can just turn and look to see what each technician has. Keep in mind, it's an 85-inch whiteboard digital. And so we have 10 technicians, and I'm just looking at our list view right now, what we have on the board with as far as open cars. I'd say we probably have at least 40 cars that are there ready and being worked on. Looking at that label view, I guess my question is, what is the easiest way to be able to look at it at a glance and be able to tell what technician needs a job or can take a job? You have to cycle through each one of my 10 techs?
No, I think I would probably use the tech board. Because if you have 10 techs, I would make sure I just see the techs. And here we do stack the hours. So technician C has been assigned 17 hours. He's completed 12. He has 5.5 to go.
Gotcha. And that's the tech board you
Tech
said.
board, yes. Now, when you have an estimate, you don't have a technician assigned to it and it's not approved, well, then it's not going to bounce over. You're going to see it on the job board, but you won't see it on the tech board. But if you have approved jobs in the work in progress tab, you're going to find them here. And if it's in the work in progress tab, that means that you sold something and something needs to be done or fixed, replaced. And so if you have an approved job, you can dispatch the technician. And right now, if I was dispatching new work, I probably wouldn't give the technician C. I probably would load up technician A because he don't have anything on his plate.
And so everything on those cards are the same as what you would see on that label board?
Yes, it's slightly different, I think. So here you're going to see statuses, whether you sent the inspection out, if they've looked at it. You're not going to have some of those statuses here.
Okay.
You still have the technician working, you have how many jobs are on there, but some of those vital tools for the advisor, the technician isn't going to see.
I got you. Okay, great. That looks great. Thank you.
You got it. Great question. Mike, I see you got your hand up. And anyone, yeah, unmute, chat on in. I'd love to hear from you.
Hey, Jim, I would also say that for me in my shop, Jim, that I put big screen TVs out in each of the shop, and
Right.
we use the tech board as just casted to it on a cast off your Google Chrome.
Okay.
And for me, we got a shop that has 7 techs. So we find it easier to use that tech board. Like I make them keep the tech board up there and the guys have just got to go there. But my service advisors control which car. You can slide the cars up and down. So they know to start from the top and work their way down. So if you in the middle and you got a customer hounding you to get one in, you can move one right ahead of another and kind of let you know where you're at. As long as they're using the labels of where they're at, they're not waiting on something.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. And Mike, I think I helped you set up one of those TVs at the location. So I really fed off of you with that. That was good stuff. Kevin, question?
Yeah, I had a question about filtering out the label view. So you mentioned when you have a lot of labels, it's going to look really big, spread out over the screen.
Yes. Yeah. So here, if I go
Is
to
there
label
any?
view, there's a bunch of labels. So I have many of them. So I have to zoom all the way out to see them. The only thing I could think of about using the label view is if I was running a real simple shop and there wasn't very much, wasn't a real long repair order journey. There was only 3 or 4 things that we did, and that was them. But for the regular general repair shop, there's so many levels on it. So using the label view, I think for me personally, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah. Is there any way though, or talks in the future of being able to filter out labels here from the view so that it's not so spread out? Because obviously you don't have ROs and specific labels like declined all, etc. Maybe that's not important for you to view.
Right.
But
So
it
what I would
jumbles
think
up your
about-
screen.
Yeah. So what I would think about is if we look at the column view, and if you're trying to figure out what's in progress, you can just populate by those labels.
Okay.
If you want to collect several labels because you're trying to figure out where certain things are at, you can highlight a few of them. That way it only wrangles in those specific cars. And I'm with you. I've been at shops where we had 100 repair orders open at all times. It was a damn mess. So to look for one, I would use the the search bar in the job board, because even if I type in LAN, it's going to find all the Land Rovers or anything with the LAN within it, and it's picking up the Milan and the Land Rover. So I particularly have grown to really like the column view, but there can be a lot of things on it at one time. So populating by any 3 characters will populate them first. And guys, you also can still sort. We had the sorting tool before, and it's still there for you. So if you wanted to swap them over from oldest to newest, or if you were trying to figure out an aging report, how long has that BMW been there? How long has that Honda Element been open? We're going to be able to do that. But if I was looking for specific labels, this is probably the direction I'd go, opposed to using the label view, Kevin.
Okay. Now, in our shop here, we typically don't touch a car unless it has approved work. So that estimate column, in my experience, is not getting utilized for anything other than, a quote living there, I suppose.
I'm 100% with you, Kevin. If I was in the shop, I wouldn't want to see repair orders in the estimate column. It would be policy. We don't have repair orders in the estimate column because when they come in, even if we don't get approvals, we're probably going to put an inspection and approve that the car is coming in. And you're still going to need a repair order to get insurance on the vehicle when it comes into the shop, regardless if they approve anything. So what I see a lot of folks doing, Kevin, is they'll create the repair order, and while it's here, they're actually talking to John Smith. We're talking about it, putting jobs together. We're talking about his kids and about the baseball game. And then once I have it all set up, the best thing that I've seen is people are sending it to a device on the counter, and then they're handing that device over to the customer, and they're showing this screen. So either with a generic email, they're sending it over so the customer can physically see what they want to do. Even if it says $0, we're still going to look at it and do the inspection, and then we can get that approved. So when you have a repair order, I absolutely agree. By the time we dispatch it, it needs to be in the work in progress column. And if I was a technician, I would be upset if I kept getting dispatch repair orders and they were in the estimate column, because that means we're not getting any checkout time. And I'm gonna lose steam real quick.
Yep. Okay.
Good question. How's everyone else doing? We're doing great on time. We got about 10 minutes left. Love all the interaction. Crystal, thank you for the questions. There was one that I missed, and I saw that she asked, and Isaac answered it. So you cannot configure the labels unless you have shop settings, and that is a permission. If you don't have shop settings, then you've got to follow what we built for that employee. But if you do have access to shop settings, then you are going to be able to update those RO labels. Good question, guys.
Do you hit the RO label button and let me see what examples you have in there?
Yeah. So what I've created, and I thought about this a long time. I was sitting there thinking, shit, what do I need? Well, in the estimate column, I got RO, new RO, still diagnosing. We need to sell. Customers deciding. They decided not to do anything, and then maybe you're running a detail service that doesn't need to run to the shop. We're going to complete it right here. Then down below, if in the work in progress column, sold work means that we got approval. Waiting on customer, it's in progress. We're waiting on parts. Need to order parts. This is a big one, I think. Tech complete. Because when the technician's absolutely 100% done, they can finish the job, and then you'll get the full circle. But having this green light, for me personally, it helps out quite a bit. Because the technician might be quick, even though they've got 4 hours, but they do it in 1 hour. Well, I'm still looking at their time going. And I would like to know that they're done, so either I can send them to lunch or give them some more work. Need to sell more work, waiting on the sublet, back at the body shop. If the technician's getting their butt kicked, we're going to need more diet. Down below, once we're in the completed column, they either owe you money, you owe them money, we're all square, paid up, or we need to send the invoice. So this goes back to the extended warranty. So if I need to send the invoice to the customer, I got it here. If I need to send it to the extended warranty to process the claim, I want to track that too. we have some good customers that they've been spending money with us forever. So if they want to pick up after hours, go for it. You know, they're someone I trust to send text to pay because I know what that is. You know? These are the examples that I got so far, Mike. I played with them. I think in real life, how would they work? I'm not 100% sure. In the real service department, there are so many different variables, things that could happen. So who knows? I probably would change my statuses quite often to meet the needs of my community. Awesome. Something else that I don't see in the article that I want to talk about, it doesn't matter which tier you're on. You're going to have RO labels. It's for all TechMetric users, whether you're in Start, Grow, or Scale. It's going to be there for you so you can, you can stay agile and make sure we're getting customers out smoothly. Awesome. Yeah, communicate. If you guys aren't part of the Facebook TUG group, TechMetric user group, it's turned into a real community. So I don't want to get on it too often. I'm not on Facebook a whole lot, but I see you guys answering questions, sharing advice, sharing experiences. That's what it's all about. I really appreciate it. Great job, Jeff. Anything else I can cover? Any questions that you have about anything, about life in general? We've got about 5 minutes left. Eddie, yeah, hand up, go for it.
Daniel, can you hear me?
I can, yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, I had a question. I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question because it does not have to relate to what the class is on, but when we sell a job, and I'm not sure if anybody else has this issue or problem, but if I write a ticket 2 weeks ago, and of course the car's here, the customer takes a while, as soon as that job is approved, it doesn't approve the numbers in TechMetric as today. It approves it as sold 2 weeks ago. So we like to calculate our numbers daily. So I have my service advisors say if he sells $10,000 today, if he sells this job today, but the ticket was written and the estimate was written 2 weeks ago, those numbers show up 2 weeks ago, not today. We've mentioned this. Sam, the owner, has mentioned this to somebody that he just talked to, but they said they were going to get back to us. And nobody ever has. And I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that.
So let me understand the question. So when someone writes up a repair order and 2 weeks later they finally get something approved, the original sell date is 2 weeks prior?
Yes, it does on our. So yeah, if we run numbers today, if I have my service advisor that sold today, like they approved it today, but the ticket was written on the 1st. When we run our numbers, it shows up. It doesn't show up as today as sold work today. It shows up as sold on the 1st when the estimate was written.
Gotcha. So I have a ticket here for Remoleums, and I got this approved back in March on the 29th. So do we have any other work to approve now? So if I complete it, technician's 100% done, I'm going to complete it. Now it's in the completed column. And if I take payment, let's go to the payment tab. I'm going to take cash and post and pay. So right now, we post the ticket on the 19th. Who is the advisor? It was Daniel. The repair order is 632. That's the best way to look at it. But 632. So are you saying 632 is going to be written on a different? These are not posted. So here's that remote ticket that we're just in. I wonder if this is a bug. Has this always worked this way?
Well, like for what we've had, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't say an issue, but we've had this concern, and I'm just surprised. I've gotten with other shop owners here. Actually, about 3 or 4 that using the same thing. And I guess we like to calculate each week. So, hey, if a service advisor sold the most, we have bonuses. Okay. But it doesn't always come out right because of when the job is sold. It calculates it when the ticket was written up. So this week, if I have Jason as the top advisor and he sold, $50,000, I actually have to every day go in and calculate every day what's sold, because when you do it at the real time, or what it's sold work,
Yeah.
it's kind of sounds kind of confusing, but it's, for instance, Daniel, when we closed out last year, December, our numbers were, whatever. That's just, I'm throwing it $300,000 exactly.
Mhm.
But when we sold the job in January 5th, we sold the job, but the ticket was written December 24th. Customer was out of town. She comes back and she approves the work. She hit approve on January 4th. Now our numbers from December of 2022 were $308,000, because that $8,000 ticket she hit approve on January 4th actually calculated it on the day that we made the estimate.
Oh, interesting. When you're looking at these numbers, are you in fact looking at a real-time report?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly, like, we'll go real-time report and like sold work for the day. Like, say, for instance, on Monday, I know we had a few big tickets. We sold about, $14,000 or $16,000,
Yeah.
but it actually only showed up 8,000. So what I have to do every day, Daniel, is I have a chart. I keep all the numbers, take screenshots. So I have to go in and what's sold for the month and, minus the sell from the day before to calculate my service advisor's exact numbers.
Gotcha. So be careful with the real-time report because it's going to calculate in real time. If you wanted posted data, you can choose posted, but I would think a financial report, like an end-of-day report, is going to be a little more comprehensive, and you can choose it just by advisor. Now, the difference between a real-time report is in the end-of-day report, it's going to calculate repair order fees, your shop supplies, things that you have built into it. If you look at a real-time report, this is only the job level fees. So we're not seeing repair order level fees here. And so sometimes the numbers can be skewed. And if you're looking at here, it is looking at the date sold opposed to the date posted.
Hey, could you not look at the Hacker Tracker report for this?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a solution to your problem, Eddie.
Could be. So you can look at posted repair orders only, or you can look at live data. And I think this kind of messes us up from time to time. But understand that you can look at time and live data. And if you have a coach, say with the Hacker Tracker or ShopFix, well, they want to look at things in real time so we can be proactive or reactive instead of proactive. So that.
Yeah. Well, like we did, like for my reporting for that, I go to, financial reports, employee reports, and go to real-time service writer report.
Mhm.
That shows me total sold. I want to look at, say, for the week, what sold. Like I said, it doesn't add up to what actually is sold on that, for this week.
Even by changing it to the date range for that specific week.
Yep. Like even like really say for today, if I go to today.
Yeah, the only way you can update the date range is by hitting posted. But you're going to find that posted numbers, they are going to be different than the real-time report opposed to your end-of-day report.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little hard. Now, a lot of shops, they don't want to pay me as an advisor and pay me for the shop supplies that we're selling. A lot of that's keep the lights on, ancillary pumice and the soap and things like that. And so we put a percentage on every repair order. And a lot of times we don't wrangle in advisors pay into that. Some shops. Other shops, old-fashioned shops that I've worked with, we use the end-of-day report to figure out what Daniel sold and, what his commission check's got to be.
Yeah, I know. We just like to, we have weekly competitions. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you're doing the weekly competitions and the ticket's not posted. Hey, have you ever messed around with jobs created?
Yes.
I don't know if that can help out at all. But if you do by jobs created, and if I was a real slacker and I showed up at 11 o'clock, I could come in here and figure out who's doing the work, who's actually producing the elbow grease here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It just still, I don't know, to me, it doesn't feel like it's real-time reporting as much. I don't want to make it sound like that, but it just, to me, it's, when you want to track numbers at the end of a day, it should show you real-time numbers, but maybe I'm just totally looking at something wrong, but
Well, no, 100%. I think you're right. So if you look at the job board, you should see that it's not in need to sell. They should be sold. And so we should see that money cycles through. But yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it outside of this meeting.
Sure, that would be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always get a hold of me. Hit Techmetric in the upper right, left-hand corner. Call the
Yes.
support number and ask for Daniel, or ask for the dude with the eye patch. I'm the only one so far.
I may still have your cell number. I don't know if it's the same. Not that I'd want to hit that out, but Daniel, I used to work at Adams as well. So
Oh, who is this?
yes, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Who am I talking
But
to?
it's Eddie Marlowe.
Oh,
You-
Eddie, how you doing? Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
You weren't there when I was there, but anyways, well, yeah. I'd like to reach out to you if that's okay, so we can talk one-on-one about this. Get a little better information if I could, if you don't mind.
100%.
reach out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was kind of a jerk service manager back then, so I apologize.
Well, I didn't
Weird.
work with you, but I saw it when you were, afterwards when I was there, you came by and said hi a few times to Joe and all them. So,
Gotcha. Yeah.
but anyways, I don't want to take up any more time. I will shoot you a message, and when you have time, you can get a hold of me as well. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Sounds great.
Thanks, Daniel.
You got it. Other than that, folks, I want to say thank you for joining me. We're done. This session's about over. We're on our final descent here. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to keep putting these deep dives together to make sure that our Techmetric community knows how to use these tools and how to make money with them. That's what we really want to figure out. So once again, thank you for everyone for joining us. I really appreciate it. We are going to record it like, and if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to get on with us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike, Eddie, Barney, Mandy. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys.